Now let's talk about the permissions of a table. I thought of the explaining views, but we'll cover views in the next topics. So permissions of a table. So in DDL, so we are left over with the grant and revoke topic. So now first thing I'm talking about is a grant. So permissions to table. So you have a customer table already created, and if you want to give an access to a specific employee or a specific department, you can do it. How do we do that? By giving grant select on specific department to specific user ID, so that it will give an access. For example, grant insert delete to employee table, so you can get that access. Revoke, it is an opposite to grant, that is revoking the access. Revoke select on department from that specific user, so here it will be to and here it will be from. So these are the permissions that we have within the DB2 SQL, right? So who will be using this? As a programmer or as a developer, you will be not at all using this grant and revoke. So it's strictly the job of a DBA. DBA will take care of granting an access to a table, column, fields, records, select commands, TDL commands or DML commands. All these has been controlled by the DBA. DBA has a key role in the DB2 environment, right? So with that said, so now we have covered all the concepts within the DDL part. Within the DDL, what all we have: create, alter, drop, right? So that was a DDL. So what about grant and revoke? Is it a part of DDL? No, not at all. So it's a part of a DCL, that is data control language. So where you're going to have the control of the database or the table space or the tables. So you are basically you are a DBA, so who are playing on giving an access to the specific table or a table's data space. Now let's talk about the DML operations. In that, first command is an insert. Insert are used to store the records into a table. Insert is a command to store the records in a table. One insert command can only insert one row in a table. If you are using an application program, you can use a perform statement in order to insert multiple records into the table. Number of columns and values must be the same. Insert into the table name, you have to give the field names, and then you have to enter the values. Let's connect to the mainframe and see how we can do it. Okay, so as I said, so we'll connect to QMF. So it is getting connected. Okay, so F6, press F6 to query. So now you can see, as I told in the earlier introduction classes, so query, this QMF will not store any data, the queries that we have written there, right? So in order to do that, what we can do is, let's go back and then search for DB2I option. So here you have a spoofy. So within the spoofy you can enter the queries. So spoofy mat_cape.spoofy and mat_cape.spoofy out. If you want to change the data sets to your name, so you can change it, but I'm using spoofy by default. So it has given some names, but I don't want to use that. Insert into, let's say, let me use this. Insert into let's say first, before that, first I wanted to run this. So how do we run this? F3. So edit, press enter to continue. Yeah, so you have to give a semicolon and just press F3, so that it will execute. So now I have given, what did I give? Select star from customer. So it has displayed me all the records, all the fields: customer ID, name, address, current transaction date. So then what do we have? And amount, right? So the number of rows displayed is 0. So commit performed, SQL code 0, and the number of statements processed 1, records written, these are the 16. So this is what it has done. So now let's go back here and try to insert into table, insert into, what is the table name here. So if you look at here, what was the command? Insert into the table name values, customer, and what are the values we had? Let us run this query again. Okay, make a note of this everything: customer ID, customer name, customer ID, customer name, customer address, then customer transaction date, and then next is what? Customer amount, right? So customer ID here, let's run this query. This will comment this: insert into, what is the table name? Customer, and what are the fields that we had? CUST, customer ID, then we had customer name, then we had customer address, and then we had custom transaction date, and then we have customer amount, then we have customer amount. Okay, so now we need to enter the values. So what are the values that we can enter here? Customer ID, let's say 10001, customer name is Robert, let's say customer address, should be, let's say, okay, when we have the variables, okay, Robert, customer address, let's say New York, transaction slave, I'm keeping it as a blank, and the customer amount, let's say, okay, and then finally I'm closing this, and then colon F3. Now it shows an error showing an illegal symbol, right? Okay, so what I can do here is simply give this space and F3. So again, the robot is not valid in the context where, since I'm not passing any date to that, so that may be the error it is giving. Or okay, since if I'm using this customer transaction date, so that's the reason. So just I will not enter any customer transaction date there. Okay, so again it shows some error. Robot is not valid in the context. Okay, why custom name, right? So let me put it in a single quotes. What was the customer name type? It was let's see what happens. I think we need to place it in a single quote. Okay, now you can see the number of rows affected is 1. So that means we have successfully entered one record. Okay, now let's watch out that by running this query. Sorry, F3. Now you can see you got received the data, customer ID, customer name, customer address, and if you look at the transaction date, I haven't entered any transaction date. By default, system has assigned the date. In this particular transactions, what was the amount? $20,000, right? So this is how we can insert a data into the field, into the database or a table. Okay, right. The next video we'll see another. Now let's talk about another important command in the DML, that is delete. Delete is to delete the records or rows from the table. Example, delete the account which is not active from 400 days. So if you are writing within the application programs, you write this in this way, and if you're practicing using QMF or Spoofy, you'll be just writing these two lines, that is delete from the table name where as you are specifying specific condition. Let's connect to this mainframe where it is. Yeah, let's connect to the mainframe here. Let's go back. So let's say, yeah, you have the tool here. So first you have this. Okay, and before that I wanted to insert some other record. Let's say employee 2, so let's say robot itself. Let's say this is Texas and the money is like 5,000. Okay, just colon F3. Now you can see insert is success. And in the same way, let's enter another record. Let's say like James. James is in Florida, and let's say 60,000. And then let's say F3. Now you can see inserted successfully. Now let's do one thing. So dot hyphens. So let's say select star from customer and press F3. So now you can see you have totally 3 records, right? So now let's say if I want to delete a Robin Hoods, right? So then how do we do that? Okay, now we have the command. Okay, so what is the command? Delete. Okay, so let's go back to this slide. Delete from table name where? Delete from customer where customer ID is equals to 10001, right? So I wanted to delete a specific record where customer ID is 10001. Okay, semicolon, press F3, enter. Now you can see the number of rows affected is 1, that is statement executed, SQL code 0. So that means the delete command worked fine. So now let's go back and check this out. If Robin exists or Robert exists or it's got deleted, enter F3. Now you can see only 10002 and 3 is there, and rest of the records are deleted, right? So that's how we have completed the 3 important commands within the DML, that is insert, update and delete. The next command that we will be seeing is select, which is a very powerful command again. Now let's look at another command, that is update. So this is used to change the column values. So you have already entered one record and you wanted to update that specific record, so when we can use update. So how do we use update? Forget about this exec SQL this thing, but we'll focus on this. Update table name. Update table name, set what is the value you wanted to set, the salary, where employee number equal to this. Let's connect to mainframe and see what we can do here. Just comment this. Sorry. So here what I'm trying to do is update customer by setting, that is what, right? By setting let's say customer name, by setting customer name equal to, instead of Robert I wanted to say that name should be Robin Hoods. Okay, so it should be Robin Hoods. So where customer ID is equals to 1001, right? So this is how we can set it. Press this one colon F3, enter. Now you can see the number of rows affected is 1 and the SQL code is 0. That means the record got updated successfully. So now let's go back and run our favorite query, that is select, and see what happens. Colon F3. Now you can see Robert was updated with Robin Hood. So this is how you can update. In the update you will be writing a where condition. Using that particular where condition you can update the fields, or sometimes you wanted to update the records by giving some additional amount to this specific record. So in that case also you can update by giving a hike of a 10%, right? Okay, now let's talk about another important command that can be used in the DML, which is select, to retrieve. For example, so you have all the data in your table and you're trying to retrieve the data. So since I've already shown you that command, that is select, when we say select star from EMP, star represents that retrieve all the fields information, all the fields and all the records information. So that is one way. If you want to retrieve only one field, only few fields, just you can specify those fields and you can get that done. For example, if you want to see only customer ID, right? If you want to see only the customer ID and customer name, so you can specify select customer ID comma customer name from cust. Okay, F3, so that you can see only those two fields, customer ID and customer names. So the rest of the fields are ignored. So this is one way of seeing the data. And to retrieve based on condition, so if you want to retrieve the data based on some condition, you can also apply where condition. For example, so let's say select customer ID and customer name where customer ID is equal to 10002. okay, let's see how many records it will fetch. Now you can see that only one record has been fetched. So like this we will be having a different conditions that you can use it. So here I am going to show you that. I request you to practice this, okay? And also you will be getting a lot of queries on this if you try to Google. So you'll get many number of queries on the SQL, especially on the select part. So you can try pull that and you can practice it. And also anyways I'm going to cover all those queries here, so but better if you can look there as well. So select employee number, employee ID from EMP, where I'm applying two conditions, right? So since we also have some department, let's take like you also have a department field like where you have IT, finance and so on. So based on that also you can retrieve the data. And other things that you can use is OR operation. So here earlier we have applied AND operation, then you can also have OR operation, and you can also have between. So if the employee ID ranging between 100 to 200, I want to pull that information, not between. If it is not between 100 and 200, then I want to retrieve rest of the records. Then you also have in, you can specify the range also, like employee ID in 100 comma 200, so on. Then not in, so not in also you can specify, select star from EMP where employee ID not in, so 100 comma 200 you can specify. Then substring, so like, so we have several other functions that we can use here, so like substring, like, count, distinct, max, min, average, sum. And then we have some other concepts called as a group by. It is used to group similar rows based on the columns, and having, it is used to filter rows after grouping or before having the must be read. So, okay, so these are the different things that you can play around with the select command. Okay, now let's talk about the views concept. So view is what? It is an alternate way of looking at the data. For example, you can pull the information from a different tables, and you can create a view, and you can also pull the fields from different tables, and you can create a view within a one table. You can I mean, there may be a requirement for you, like for example, let's take you have a table, okay, where you have, let's say, 60 fields, and you don't want those 60 fields to be shown by to be read by all the users who are accessing the table, right? So what you can do here is you can create a view for a specific users who want to access this table, and add only specific those fields and just give it to them, so that they can have access to only that specific fields. For example, let's take an HR what do you call the table. So in HR or an employee table itself, in an employee table you have several fields: employee name, number, ID, his salary, his PAN card number, SSN number, tax ID, all the information is there, right? So now HR wanted to see some information, or a project manager want to see some information. So do project manager what project manager may require? So what is his employee ID, name, and the project ID. So that's it. He don't want to see all the rest of the other fields and everything, right? So just he's worried about only 3 to 4 fields. So in the scenario, instead of giving complete access to the table, so what we can do is we can create a separate view and just give him an access, so that he can access. In the similar way, there may be a finance team, transport team, or different teams available, right? So what information they want to access, so we can create a view, separate view for them, and just give it to them, so that they can just have a look at that particular view. Okay, here is a simple example. So here what we are trying to do is I mean, it's just a general example. I'm taking it from the internet. Okay, so create view rich employee as an select employee number, employee name from employee where salary is greater than 25,000. Okay, so what we are trying to do here, so we are trying to create a view employee number with 2 fields, that is employee number and employee name from employee where salary is greater than 25,000. So whose monthly salary, let's take like whose monthly salary is greater than 25,000, let's consider them as a rich employee. So and create a view. So when I select employee number and employee name from this table, so it will say like, okay, so we got a separate view created, and then it has only all the people who are having a salary greater than 25,000. So this is how we can create a views.